I'm sorry, sweetheart, my date is here. She saw me rolling a cigarette, thought it was marijuana. Thought I was a swinger.
When I come on screen, you don't see Emmet Walsh. You see whatever he's supposed to be playing, and that's the gift. You can't teach that. I went down to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York after I finished college, and I have a degree in marketing. And I didn't know anything when I got to New York. I mean, I was senior class president in high school in Swanton, Vermont. Senior class president, 10 girls and 3 boys. I mean, I come from the big time. I got to New York, and I just spent 2 years putting Band-Aids on my knees from falling off curbs looking at tall buildings. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I went to acting school. I didn't know anything. And I'd been deaf in 1 ear since the time I was 3. And I wanted to do Shaw and Shakespeare and Moliere. I mean, that's where I started. And I had to figure out, obviously they weren't going to hire me to do Shaw and Shakespeare and Moliere. So I had to figure out who I was. What could I do, no one else was doing. And that's very, very hard for an actor. It's 80% of acting can more or less be taught. The other 20%, that's the gifts. I want you to see a killer or a cop or that school teacher. But, I wanted you to see the character. And I was brought in, once they figured out who I was and what I could do, to move something along. So if I went in there with Dustin or Paul Newman or whoever it was, they saw me coming and they weren't going to get killed by me. So it became a tennis match. They hit the ball, We play, and that becomes the dynamics of it. Not 2 actors, 2 characters are trying to, whatever it is. And I became known for that. I became known to take whatever had to be done and make the other guy look good. If he wasn't doing his work, I killed him. I murdered the guy. The camera never looked at him again.
I got a job for you.
Well, if it pays right and it's legal, I'll do it.
I was brought in to help. At one point, they said, if the writing was bad, get Walsh. At least he'll make it look okay. At that time, I was one of 10 people. You got Charlie Durning or Brian Dennehy or me. There were about 10 of us. And Joe and Ethan came to me. They saw Straight Time, and I had a really good hook. My father was U.S. Customs. He dealt with people. He dealt with people trying to get around something.
Drinking some beer, huh?
Yeah, just a couple cans, though. What are you doing?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. Take it easy.
Well, why'd you do that? You didn't have to chain me down like this.
It's procedure. I just got to be careful.
I told you I'm clean.
Okay, good.
I was trying to humanize. If you're a parole officer, you've got a caseload of so many cons. You've got to, are they staying straight or are they doing? And of course, Dustin was, falling. And then I found the roach, or something. I put him back in, the prison. And, but I thought I was playing a nice guy just with a heavy workload. I was not trying to do a slaughter job on the civil servants. But the film came out and I was the biggest asshole in the world. And I didn't see it that way. I was playing the opposite. I wasn't going to go in there and destroy my father's career. That was never my intention. So it was curious the way it kind of, in trying to do it, it backfired. As opposed to just doing the villain, I was playing the nice guy. And I tried to do the same thing on Blood Simple. I suddenly became aware that my agents had passed up a couple things that I was never told about. And I got very upset. And I said, hey, I've got to know everything that comes in. You don't pass without me passing. So the script comes in from Joe and Ethan on Blood Simple. I read it. It was interesting. It was Sidney Greenstreet was one of these character actors back there. He's just kind of a heavy and he would smile as he killed you or something. And I said, I'm 20 years too young, but maybe I can take this film. No one's ever going to hear about this film, these kids. And, I can flesh it out. And then 20 years I can do my Sidney Greenstreet, and I have a good hook on it. So I flew down to Austin, and they showed me Joe and Ethan showed me their demo reel that they'd made. And it was kind of a ham hock, but they were trying to raise their money. Okay, I'm willing to do the film. What do you got? And the agents came back and they said they haven't got much money, but they'll put you up down there. They'll fly you down. They'll give you a per diem, and they'll give you 1% of the net. And I said, I have a degree in business administration. I mean, 0 times anything is 0. There's going to be no net, no money on this. So, but that's kind of the way that the negotiation was.
Can't have it both ways.
I got down there, and I wasn't making much money, but I was getting like $100 a day per diem, and that was the real money in the film for me. The first day of shooting or something, they came over and gave me a check for $700, and I said, I don't know who you guys are. I said, I don't want your check. Give me cash. So they came over and gave me, went back to the bank and gave me 7 $100 bills, and as it went on, 4, 5, 6 weeks, I ended up with a stack of $100 bills like that. And I put those in my pocket. And I didn't know what to do with them. I was afraid to leave any place. I couldn't leave them back in the apartment for fear the maid would steal them. But I had to carry them around, and it became a big thing, but it had nothing to do with the character. It had to do with the Walsh paranoia, and he outsmarted himself with the per diem. Created my own monster by not taking their check. I had a concept of the character. I had an image of myself that once we came up with that wardrobe and that hat, there's a cigarette lighter in there that's given to me by the Elks or something, Man of the Year. There was an image he had of himself when he was out. And, he was a nice guy, except a couple of times he has to do these dumb, bad things. I'm from Vermont. I'm a Yankee. I grew up with clipped speech up there. And how I ended up playing this Southerner, I don't know quite how it all boiled down.
Isn't that wild? Stick your finger up the wrong person's ass? A friend of mine.
My thinking on the accent was I tried to get it as near. There wasn't pure Texas. There wasn't I could do for it.
And he breaks a good one. So that he breaks that too,
I wasn't that good. I'm not that smart. I'm not that clever. I can do a little bit of Irish, maybe a little brogue, but basically I'm a deaf actor from northern Vermont, and that's what you get.
In Greece, they would cut off the head of the messenger that brought the bad news.
I'm not a smoker. And they said, well, could you work on it? I said, yeah, I'll give it a try.
That don't make much sense.
You do almost inhale to blow a smoke ring. I worked on it, and all I did was make myself sick up here in Dallas working on it. And I called him back down there, and I said, look, fellas, I can't seem to pull this off. This isn't working. And the little prop girl, just got out of school or something, she the prop master for the movie. And she said, give me that cigar. She said, I used to full smoke rings with my brothers out behind, 5 brothers out behind the barn. Little Texas girl, And she takes this cigar, pow, pow, pow. She's just knocking these smoke rings perfect. And we shoot it and shoot it and shoot it all the different ways. And she's knocking them right on. I said, my God, it was amazing, And about an hour and a half later, we're shooting a roadhouse outside of Austin. And I go out, and there's the little girl, the prop girl, sitting on the steps, puking her guts out. I mean, she is just as sick as anything. And I'm thinking, Man, that is showbiz. Give your life to the film. She died to do, and she's still in the business. I ran into her within the last 4 or 5 years. She's still in the business. I would say the laugh of the character was all mine. But it wasn't me. It was something I found to use for him. I invented a character.
Well, man, if I see him, I'll sure give him a message.
I was only working alone for the most part. I didn't know who any of these people were. And their knowledge of the camera, Joe and Ethan, to shoot at night film is very difficult. It's flat. There's no depth at night, and it's very, very hard. And they set their whole movie up to shoot at night. And I said, they're really looking for trouble. They had a silent dialogue between them. They without talking about it, they would talk the same thing. They knew what they were talking about. Ethan would set the shot up, and Joe would look through the lens at it also. And they would, that's the way their whole career has been. And Joe and Ethan had it storyboarded to the nth degree, storyboarded. Sure, you see every shot set up. They had it figured out to the nth degree with the confines of their money. At one point, Joe asked me to do something, and I said, why? And Joe said, humor me, would you, please? It was that kind of a shoot. I'm there to help, and they know I'm there to help, and they can also see that I'm a little crazy.
The world is full of complainers. The fact is, nothing comes with a guarantee. Now, I don't care if you're the Pope of Rome, President of the United States, or Man of the Year.
I got a call from them, 6, 7, 8 months later. I'm in California, they're in New York. And they're coming in and they want to, there's a couple little snippets of film they want. And I said, fine. And they said, we'll pay you under the table. We can't do this union, type of thing. I said, I don't care about that. We did whatever had to be done for dialogue. Then Ethan or Joe gave me a sheet of paper. And I said, what's this? He said, well, read it, will you? It wasn't on camera. It was just, just a voiceover. And I read it. I said, what is it? Just read it, will you? So I read it in one take. You watch the oil wells and the opening of the movie, and everybody knows that sequence of dialogue, and I just, they had figured they needed this as a handle to bring in the film. Curious. I paid no attention to it. It was like everything about the rest of the film. I knew nothing about what they were doing, but I always felt they were okay. They knew what they knew what they were up to. They worked forever getting the money up to make it. Then after they shot it, it took them the better part of a year to get it to where it was accepted at the New York Film Festival. I never saw the film until I went, paid my $7 or $3 or $2.50, what it might have been, and went and saw it when it first opened here in L.A. It was good, and I'm glad it was good. I wasn't surprised that it was good or something, I didn't know. I mean, I've done, as I said, 116 movies. I never know. I'll go look at them and just, did I pull it off? Did I help it? I did win the best performance, the Independent Feature Project. And Colin Dewhurst got it for Trip to Bountiful, and I got it for Blood Simple. I've always been very interested in their work. I did the second film, and they didn't care if I did it or not. And come on. So I did Raising Arizona. Then they found John Goodman. Johnny fulfilled their needs, type of thing. And we've always, if I ever crossed them, we've always been friendly and everything. There was a film festival 20 years later down in Dallas. Their casting needs and the way they're writing and so forth, hasn't involved me since. And they'd rather have someone who you don't know than an actress. Oh, that's an Emmet Walsh. Someone, back then I was just someone you didn't know.
Hey, good.
What rock turnover? That's very, very good. You know, I'm over 81 years old, and I'm still walking around and feeling pretty good and the whole thing. You never know when it's going to end, but I don't know how to stop. I mean, it's what I've done all my life, you know, and I enjoy it. I have fun, and if it had gone differently, there would have been 2 or 3 ex-wives and 5 children, and I would have nothing. But you win some and you lose some. I had the home phone of their parents, and I called, and the father answered. And I said I was going to, I had a couple of days off. I'd come over and meet. And the wife came on, and she said, well, I'm teaching over at the university. I said, well, I'll take you to lunch. So I went there, and I walked in and did the class with the kids. She was lecturing or something. Then I took her to lunch, and of course she didn't know. She was nervous about it and probably not very happy about it and didn't know what the hell was going on. And I always use it as an excuse of what does an actor do to, to find more work? You suck up to the parents.